Hi, I'm Beth Kindig, the developer evangelist at Personagraph. I'm here with Nikao of AdColony, and we are live at Apps World 2015 at downtown San Francisco at the Moscone Center. Nikao has joined us to talk about the future of data and ad tech. So Nikao, what do you think is the future of data and ad tech? How will the convergence, what will that look like?
Well, Beth, I think we're seeing a lot of that already today. You know, it may be, it's no longer early innings in mobile, especially in mobile ad tech, but definitely from a data standpoint and ad tech convergence, in order for the mobile advertising space to grow and become even more effective to brands, to developers, to publishers, and ultimately to the end consumer, data will play an important part and continues to play an important part today.
Great, and your platform is huge. I believe it's around 700 million.
So we've been acquired, so in July of 2014 we were acquired by Opera MediaWorks, and so the combined platform has a reach of nearly 1 billion, about 850 million users across the world.
Okay, great. So when you look at the future of video ads, what exactly will data do to create more relevancy with the video ads?
Yeah, so video is an important part of the Opera MediaWorks platform. That's the reason why they acquired AdColony for the leadership role in mobile video. As far as data in mobile video, it's hyper important. It's so critical to the success of campaigns. In order for advertisers to reach the right type of users, for their campaigns to be more effective, in order for publishers to monetize their inventory more effectively, and in order for users to stay engaged with ads and with content, data has a very critical role in mobile video in particular.
Okay, great. And then let's jump in a little bit to LTV. You know, Personagraph really helps people get to know the users inside of the app, so the people who are already using your app. One thing that we are trying to disrupt is LTV tied to campaign source. We think LTV should be tied to demographics and profiles and audience segments. Do you have any comment on that as far as how to extract LTV beyond campaign source?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, lifetime value of a customer is a classic marketing question from the beginning of time, right? So when you're spending dollars to acquire a user, whether you're a CPG company, an automotive company, or a mobile app developer, you want to back into what that customer lifetime value is. And the beauty of mobile is that we have a ton of data that allows us to kind of triangulate and get down into the nitty-gritty and figure out what's been most effective to that type of user, to create audience segmentation, to track the conversion and the spending habits of that user at the publisher level. And all that type of data that's non-personally identifiable is extremely valuable to us as an advertising platform to make it more effective for, again, the advertiser, the publisher, and ultimately the end consumer.
Can you think of a success story of a publisher using AdColony that's used data? And I can give you an example of one at Personagraph. We have a customer who has an SAT app, and the more that they looked into the data, they found that this education app actually had a lot of crossover, surprisingly, with Flappy Bird users. So that's one success story we've seen with data, is by drilling down into the users and how they spend their time inside of this education app, they were now able to go and acquire these education app users through other gaming verticals. Right. Anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say inside of the Opera MediaWorks AdColony platform, when you drill down, we're reaching as a combined entity over 850 million unique users across the globe. A subset of that would be AdColony's SDK directly inside of a number of these apps worldwide. And so we see a high crossover, and I think that's another effective way, without giving away the secret sauce. We do have a yield optimization engine that is very intelligently leveraging the data that we get from our publishers to parse through a lot of the dust, a lot of the noise, a lot of the chaff, and make sure that we're driving and serving the right type of ad to the right type of the user. And wherever there's this type of these instances where there's crossover between a certain type of user that is existing on one app, and how we can target that user for an app download campaign of another app, we'll definitely leverage that.
Great. You know, another thing that we've been talking to some of our customers about is they're running about $3 installs right now on Facebook, and then they're looking at $8 installs come the holidays. That's something they don't want to have to do over the next couple of months, is raise their acquisition costs that much. So we're really encouraging them to get to know who are the people completing the high value activities and then going to other platforms to drive that acquisition. How much time do you think it takes for a publisher to really get to know the users inside of their app, or to really use data the way that they need to use data?
Yeah, it's really interesting. The length of time that a publisher or a developer needs to spend is to get to better understand their user is directly related to the resources that they have internally, as well as externally through different partnerships with companies like yourselves or different third-party data companies, to really take advantage of the wealth of information that's there. They're collecting that data. It's non-personally identifiable. It's leverageable to make their ad campaigns more effective or their monetization tactics much more effective. But ultimately it comes down to resources, whether or not they have internal and or external resources to mine that data and create actionable items off that.
Great, and then one thing about AdColony that is somewhat unique as an ad tech player is that you have the rewarded video as well as non-rewarded.
Right.
And how do you place that, and what kind of data do you use in order to determine what this audience would want to see and what would entice them to keep leveling up or to keep viewing the videos?
Mm-hmm. Well, first and foremost, to your point, the different types of video ad formats that we offer. We have a rewarded value exchange, then we have the non-rewarded videos, which include pre-rolls, interstitials, as well as a native in-feed video product. Those are really in the hands of the developer or the publisher. So depending on the type of content or that the developer has, whether it's a game, and if there's a game, there's an in-app purchase, or if it's a non-gaming app and it's heavily video based, so they would want pre-roll, and maybe there's a feed to distribute it, so they would want native in-feed video ads as well. That ultimately, first and foremost, is up to the publisher, right? The type of implementation that they want to put in there. But data also plays a critical role. So we'll work with the publisher to be as intelligent as possible to optimize the location of those ads. We call it internally merchandising. It's if you apply it to a brick and mortar analog where you walk into a supermarket and you see where the merchandise is placed for different products or different brands. You want to take that same principle and apply it to the mobile content experience. So where you merchandise your video to be shown to the user in order to drive revenue is definitely based on data, and you need to be intelligent about where you put it and optimize accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Great, no, that makes a lot of sense. So recently I was looking at the numbers between 2015 and 2018, and still the majority of campaign money is going to go to social and search. So programmatic is not quite bridging the gap with data. Do you have any comment on that, and what can data, or how can we use data along with programmatic in order to draw the campaign dollars away from social and search?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because when you look at how the dollars get spent, and you put yourself in the mindset of, say, a media planner at a traditional media agency for a brand, what they'll tell you, what that 25-year-old person will tell you, is that they've never been fired for buying Google. They've never been fired for buying YouTube. No one ever gets upset at them for doing that. And so it can be risky, right, for a young planner to place a buy on programmatic and to trust this new wave of data that's is purporting to bring more accuracy and more effectiveness for their brand or for their client. And so that's interesting, because what that ultimately means is it's all about education. Mm-hmm. It's all about the industry leading the charge in mobile, in advertising, leveraging data. It's up to the stakeholders to educate the entities that are responsible for the dollars, that hold the budgets so closely and dearly to their chest, but just don't know that much about data and aren't necessarily that comfortable. So it's about educating them, and over time we'll see that shift. But it's like a large ocean liner in the sea. Like, you can't get it to make a hard right turn overnight. You need to allow it to have some time to make that shift. And I would say that may be the type of situation that's going on today. So really educating the ecosystem and helping them understand that data is a way to empower them to become more accurate in ways that potentially leveraging traditional channels like social and search may not.
Right, I mean, you almost wonder if that's why things are so costly, is because of that over-dependency on Google and Facebook, the knowledge graph and the social graph. which neither actually tell you how people are spending their time on the mobile device and what is going to entice them to download the app. So what other thoughts do you have as far as how can data close the gap on user acquisition costs and or increase LTV?
I think we've talked a lot in broad strokes, and we've drilled down a little bit, but I think ultimately the data that's going to really drive LTV is on the publisher side. It's really helping, we talked about education, right? And educating the broader ecosystem externally, but it's also about educating internally, the internal teams at the developer and publisher level, helping them understand that there are different types of data and there's all different types of data out there. How do they sort through the noise? How do they cut through all the different types of distractions? Because data creates noise, and not all data is necessarily created equal. And so they need to be able to identify the right types of data that'll help them drive the greatest ROI to create the best type of customer, the most loyal type of customer who can drive the highest LTV. And so it's really about internally taking a hard look at the data, sifting through the noise, and drilling down into what works.
Absolutely sifting through the noise, because user acquisition is a numbers game, but not like you would think it is. It's not about getting a lot of users, it's about getting the right users who spend and convert and are completing those session activity events.
Absolutely. I mean, in the early days, and I call it the early days, but it's like 4 or 5 years ago, right? It really wasn't that long ago. But when we first started user acquisition, we were one of the only few companies in the world doing mobile video user acquisition. And at the time, it was very much, how can I acquire as many users as possible for the least amount of money? And that's how it started off. So basically, if you could charge the lowest cost of money, if you had the lowest acquisition cost and the largest volume of conversions, you would win. But it's not about just massive quantity, it's also about quality, right? And I think it wasn't too long ago after that, after the explosion and of user acquisition, did developers realize it's not just about driving a conversion at a low cost, it's about acquiring that user intelligently and making sure that that user is a qualified user who can drive a strong lifetime value. So sifting through the noise is critically important, and maintaining a lead on the quality of the user that you acquire is paramount for developers and publishers today.
I agree, and I think you bring up a great point that you were mobile 4 years ago, and that's pretty much what AdColony focuses on. Personagraph is similar. We're data coming from the mobile device. We're one of the only products on the market which only comes from mobile. Yeah. So when we see all of these other acquisition sources, and going back to that knowledge graph of Google, which is technically an online platform, and also social, and then now we have TV that people are starting to get excited about from the Super Bowl. How does mobile play into all of this, and should you focus on the mobile device to get a mobile user, or just how does all that fit together?
Yeah, I mean, it depends, right? It depends what your goals are, it depends how big your marketing budget is, it depends on what type of developer you are. I would say by and large, when it comes to the marketing mix, you can have multiple types of touch points to reach the consumer. But the most effective channel at the end of the day is going to be mobile, because that's where the mobile app is. It's one click away from the App Store or Google Play to download that app and begin using it as an end consumer. As you expand out to the different marketing mix, the different other types of platforms that are available, whether it's television, whether it's online, whether it's print, whether it's even radio, your effectiveness is going to decrease over time from an ROI conversion standpoint. But generally speaking, that may not be the only goal of a larger developer. It may be about building up a brand. And so a developer or a publisher may leverage those other channels in the marketing mix to really grow their brand and create mind share within the end consumer's head, and then to drive the conversion when that user sees an actual ad for that product on mobile.
Great. Mobile mindshare is everything. Again, I'm with Nikao from AdColony, and we're coming here live from Apps World. I'm Beth with Personagraph. Thank you.